Subscribe to Amcode and ring the notification bell to get the latest content.
Hello and welcome back. This lecture is all about what are the next step in data engineering with Hadoop and Apache Spark in mind. So without further ado, let's jump into it. So basically in this whole series, we have seen all about how data engineering works and how to process the data, how to extract the data from multiple sources, convert them into the required format, and dump that so that data scientists, data analysts can dig into that data and get some meaningful insights out of it. We have also seen the side of machine learning and the graph algorithms as well for extracting the meaning out of your transformed data. And we have leveraged Apache Spark and Hadoop to do all this stuff. But let's talk about what are the next step ahead that you can do to really make a difference in your organization. So here we are going to go over what we have learned and what we can improve further in your data engineering journey. So the first thing is you should focus on advanced data processing techniques. So far we have used Hadoop's MapReduce as well as Apache Spark's distributed computing platform for processing the large data. So the main focus of data processing is to convert your raw data into the required format. But it is not very simple. Under the hood, these two platforms are distributing your workloads parallelly across the cluster and processing your data. And also there are so many types of format, so many data sinks from data sources that you can use as a starting point of your data pipeline. So your data could be present in any SQL database, or your data could be present in some flat file, or the data could be present in HDFS, or it could be present in some external data sources like the S3 buckets. So basically you should focus on how you can use the best practices to really process your data in no time. So here you can use all the optimization techniques that we have discussed to further boost down your workloads so that your platforms will not suffer while dealing with the big data. And also if you're dealing with the complex data structures, as well as if your data is not that clean and coming from any sensor in real time, then you have to carefully choose all the transformation that you're applying on top of your data, because that could really hamper the performance of your application. So I'll highly recommend you to experiment it and choose the right way for processing your data using Hadoop and Apache Spark. And also you can leverage different tools as well and integrate them with Apache Spark and Hadoop to process the data efficiently. So the next step is working with large scale data. So every organization is generating petabyte of data every month, and dealing with the big data is a big concern, because let's say if you're just getting started with one data sources, your organization will generate so much sources in upcoming years. So you should be ready to work with the large scale data, and Apache Hadoop and Apache Spark will give you that capability to process the data on a large scale basis. But you have to make sure that you are using correct partitioning strategies. So partitioning strategies means that you are partitioning your data based on some column, and they will be stored in HDFS in the chunks of the size that you have decided. So basically that will really matter while reading and writing the data. As well as you should also focus on choosing the right format for storing your data in any of these data sources that we have discussed in our full series. So you can use Parquet file format, which give you the capability to store your data as a columns as opposed to the rows which are there in the Avro or CSV formats, and it has a great compression capability which really saves the space on disk. So dealing with large scale data is all about how you're storing your data in the data source. Basically you can use Parquet file format, which is really popular nowadays in the data community, or else you can explore other data formats like the Avro format as well as the ORC format and choose the right one for your application. But you have to make sure that that data format is well suited for all the tools that are there in your data pipeline or the data ecosystem. It is really important, because if some tool is integrated with your Apache Spark format which is not support Parquet file, then you should definitely avoid that, because it will have a lot of impact on your system and it will not have a better compatibility with other tools. So you have to just carefully choose the right file format so that it could save a lot of space, and you will be having a efficient reading and writing operation from your disk with your format. So that would be like really important step. Also, the next step is like advanced Spark SQL and the data frames. So basically, Spark SQL and data frame APIs are nothing but built on top of the Spark Core API, which is RDD. Here we are dealing with the structured data. So if you are dealing with only the structured data, then you should only choose data frames or the Spark SQL over the RDD, because they are well optimized because of the Catalyst optimizer that we have discussed in the previous lecture, and also working with them is pretty easy. So Spark SQL will give you ability to run simple SQL queries on top of your data frame, as well as data frame will give you the capability to work with the structured data very efficiently. But you should also look out for some advanced features like the windowed function. So basically, windowed functions are really powerful tool to analyze your data and grouping the rows as per some columns. So basically, this windowed function will give you the ability to peek into your data and use some complex logic in your data flow. So basically, you should also explore more option for data frames and Spark SQL, like the user defined function. But let me tell you one thing, user defined functions are not that well optimized, and Spark will not able to figure out how to choose and get the most efficient query plan for your execution if you're using the user defined function. So you should be carefully choosing that as well. And also, mastering Spark SQL and data frame will really help you down the line, because these are very well integrated with other APIs like the machine learning pipeline, which is MLlib library, as well as the graph algorithm using the graphics library. So definitely recommend data frames and Spark SQL here. Also, the next one is working with the real-time data. So I know that your organization may not need processing real-time data, but there are so many platforms and you can create a good use case out of real-time data. So if you have a chance to work with the real-time data in your organization, you can really leverage that and process the data in real time so that you can get meaningful insight out of it. It is well suited for log analytics if you're working for any big websites. Also, you can use like movie recommendation or the product recommendation system if you're working for a big e-commerce platform, or else this could be applied on transaction as well for fraud monitoring. So basically, you can leverage Spark streaming library as well as the Kafka architecture. So there are like several tools like Apache Kafka as well as the Spark streaming, which will give you the capability to process your data in real time. But the main thing is you should focus on the use case. If your use case needs to pick into the data in real time for every second, then only it is suitable, because real time data analytics could be quite expensive operations on top of the data than the batch operations in many cases. So you should really focus on what is your problem statement, and according to that, I'll highly recommend you to work with the real-time data using the Spark streaming or the Apache Kafka. So here the next thing is machine learning with the Spark MLlib. So we all know that there are so many platforms are there which we can integrate with Apache Spark for running machine learning pipelines. But let me tell you one thing, that MLlib library will give you the capability and good integration to work with Spark cluster, because Spark cluster will give you the capability to apply the distributed data processing, and you can leverage that capability and also get the ease of use of MLlib library to apply machine learning pipelines on top of your data frame. And you don't have to do many groundwork and all the development activities for getting the data into required format, because MLlib library will give you all the procedures to get the data into required format and all the required data types, so that it could input into your regression problem or any of the supervised or unsupervised machine learning problems. So that is the big pro and the next step in your Apache Spark journey. Then you should integrate it with the cloud platforms. This is very important. So migrating to the cloud is very sensible move for each organization, because cloud computing will provide you a cost effectiveness as well as the fault tolerance and the scalability that you need to build your data solution. So basically, all the cloud platforms will provide you Apache Spark cluster, Hadoop cluster in AWS, Azure or GCP, whatever it is. And you can also try out their native tools as well for processing the data in real time or the batch way. There are so many tools and there are so many possibilities if you include cloud platforms. So you don't have to stick with Apache Spark and Hadoop that you have seen in this series, but you should also explore more tools ahead so that you should build a good, well optimized data solution for your organization. And this is cost effective as well. It totally depends on how much resources you're consuming than the local architecture in your organization. So on-premise architecture and the cloud architecture is like a whole debate, and you cannot say that cloud platform is suitable for all the application. For many use cases, maybe on-premise services or the on-premise architecture will suits, like the confidential data, like the banking institution and so on. But nowadays cloud is also a safe place and give you the capability to work on a hybrid mode where some of the confidential data is stored on premise and most of the data which is not that confidential is stored on the cloud platform. So basically you should also go for a hybrid approach and explore the possibilities of the cloud computing. And at last, you should use advanced monitoring and the performance tuning. So we have seen all about it in the previous lectures, how to optimize your application. But here, if you are moving to cloud, you should also explore more tools and maybe look into and explore like using visualization techniques or build some dashboard to gain insights in your data pipeline and see what are the bottleneck and what are the improvements you can make in your system to make it more scalable, highly available and fault tolerant. This is very important. So far we have seen from the basics to advanced level how to deal with the data, but the next steps in your data engineering journey is mainly focused on these parts and how you can build the more ideal data solution for your organization.
So that's it for today. I'll see you in the next lecture.